Mark didn't lose the girl because his friend was more attractive or interesting. He lost her because he used the dog to build a version of himself that wasn't real, and then got exposed. It started with a simple dynamic between three people: Hayden and Mark, who had been friends since college, and a girl named Sarah. Sarah was relatively new to the group, but fit in easily. She was warm, funny, and had a natural affection for animals that made her stand out in a good way. Hayden had a massive crush on Sarah, but he wasn't rushing anything with her. He was letting things develop slowly. And then one weekend, everything changed. They were at a picnic in the park, and Hayden had finally ended up talking to Sarah one-on-one, and things were going really well. Then Mark shows up, but he's not alone. He had a golden retriever puppy with him, and the reaction from Sarah was immediate. She completely lit up, and within minutes, Sarah's focus of the afternoon had shifted away from Hayden. What made it worse was that Mark wasn't a dog person. Everyone knew that. But now he suddenly acted like someone who had always been comfortable around animals, casually explaining that he was just dog sitting for his cousin. But it didn't feel natural. But it also didn't feel fake enough to call him out in the moment. And that was enough. Because from that point on, the dynamic changed. Sarah became increasingly focused on Mark, and the puppy became the centre of attention. Over the next few weeks, the dog kept appearing at meetups, photos, hangouts. Every time Sarah was around, Mark was there with the puppy, presenting himself as someone who naturally fit that role. And it worked. From the outside, it looked like he was connecting with her in a way that Hayden didn't. But there's a difference between genuine connection and something carefully constructed, and at some point that difference became impossible to ignore. So when Hayden eventually confronted Mark, he didn't deny anything. He just laughed and brushed it off, saying all fair in love and war, as if that explained anything. And that was the moment everything changed. Because usually someone can only pretend to be something they're not for a short time before it collapses. The idea Hayden got for revenge was about exposure. Mark had only experienced the dog in short bursts, just a few hours at a time, and always when it was convenient. He never had to deal with the reality of caring for an actual puppy. So the plan was simple: remove that control. The timing worked perfectly. The dog's real owner, Mark's cousin, was going away for a weekend and needed someone to look after it. And Hayden arranged for Mark and Sarah to take it together, framing it as a sweet bonding opportunity. And Sarah jumped at it. To her, it sounded thoughtful and fun, something that matched the version of Mark she knew. What she didn't realise was that he was about to be stuck in a situation he'd never been in before. The weekend started off manageable, but it didn't last long. Puppies are energetic, demanding, and far more work than Mark was used to. Messages started coming in that reflected that gradual decline, from playful updates to irritation to just frustration. And by the end of that first day, the carefully built image was already starting to crack. By Sunday morning, it had collapsed completely. Sarah mentioned how the dog had been acting and how Mark responded, and eventually it came out that he doesn't really like dogs and had just borrowed one to get her attention. And that was the moment that she pulled away. And good on her. The relationship ended shortly after. She told him that she couldn't trust something that felt built on a performance rather than honesty. And when Mark confronted Hayden afterwards, there wasn't much left to argue. The point had already been made. Their friendship didn't survive either. But by that point, Hayden had decided that Mark wasn't a true friend if he would pursue a girl like that after finding out Hayden had already liked her. After everything settled, something unexpected happened. Sarah and Hayden started talking more, and eventually they went out for coffee. So a nice happy ending. So looking back at this whole situation, the revenge was calculated and petty, and it absolutely escalated something that might have resolved on its own. But it didn't create the truth. It just removed the barriers to seeing it. And maybe that's the real point. Sometimes people don't get exposed because of what others do to them. They get exposed because of who they really are. Thanks for watching this episode of Quietly Unhinged. If you enjoyed this story, there's another one waiting on screen now, or subscribe to hear more. I'll see you there.